Hi, it's Tess. For those that don't know me, I'm a bariatric patient. I believe I'm in my 9th year post-surgical. I keep saying I'll check that. I haven't done it yet. I've been going live as a way just to keep myself learning and educating and moving forward on my journey. This has to be a lifetime thing, something I'm working on forever. And it's interesting is what I find is a lot of things are repetitive over time. And like earlier today, I was in a class for a period of time, and I'll apologize now. One of my animals was missing me, so he may visit very soon. But I was looking today at something. I actually took a class that was called Shadows, and it was working with your shadows. But what's interesting is that for everything that you learn, it connects to somewhere else, and it brings the whole picture together. And part of this shadowing is it's more or less the things that you hide within yourself that you need to learn to release. Because if we are holding things inside and we're not releasing them, we end up sick. So it's like if you're worried about a family member and you internalize it, you become sick. I can think about myself when I was younger, and I went through a lot of illnesses because I didn't understand the idea of when you are holding on to something and you don't release it, it will cause you to be sick. And it was kind of interesting because this was the idea of doing shadow work, but the shadow work was in looking inside of yourself, meditating and trying to heal things one step at a time. Now that's very basic. That is not the class in any way, shape, or form, but it made me go down a path about understanding or looking at this book again, the Healthy You book, about looking at like immunity, because we all know that if we internalize things, we become sick, or at least I know I do, and I think most of us do if we were to own it. And so I started looking at things, and it said, if you were trying to understand, are you more weaker? Are you more susceptible? Things to look at is, if you travel, are you one of those people that becomes sick more often when you travel? Are you sick from traveling more often than anybody else around you? And they said, if you are, then there are some things that you probably need to work on. So that's kind of a sign that you need to work on something. And the reason is, when you're flying, there's a lot of exposures. You're going to be exposed to wherever you're staying. You're going to be exposed to the event you're at. You're going to be exposed to the air in the plane. You're going to be exposed to a lot of different things. So if you're traveling and you get sick more than the average person, you don't have as much immunity. And then it kind of talked about thinking about like a computer system. Computer systems can have virus protection and firewalls, but as humans, we have to look at virus protection and firewalls differently. It's about like the actions that we take, but the actions that we take are all kind of the fundamental things that we all know about, but that's really all the tools that we have. It's in about watching the food we eat, supplementing if we're not getting the kind of nutrients we need in the food, understanding that if we're eating processed foods, we may be getting things that we don't need, that we got to figure out a way to get rid of. We need movement. We need to control our thoughts, and that is done by like meditation, gratitude journaling, appreciation journaling, and we need proper sleep. So it's kind of like everything comes back together. I want to get healthier so I can live a better life. If I want to live a better life, I have to figure out how not to be sick. If I want to not be sick, then I have to watch the kind of food that I'm eating, become more movement, control my thoughts, and get plenty of sleep. So it's just like a big circle, and you have to, you can't just pull one of them out and make it work. That would be like having a big hole in your firewall. You're going to have to work on all of these. Now, you don't want to work on all of them at once. You want to work on them one at a time, just like in your thoughts and meditations, one at a time. Pick one thing, work through it, then go on to the next one. Because it also talked about, and I'll have to study more about this, but they talked about the vagus nerve. And this book is kind of cool in that it shows like pictures and stuff. And they're showing the vagus nerve. It connects the brain, and then it kind of goes throughout the body and connects and communicates. But it was talking about like when we get sick and we don't have the right virus protection in our body, which in our case is food, nutrients, movement, sleep, and then the meditation or the thoughts. We end up with a polluted highway. That vagus nerve becomes a polluted highway, and basically it will start shutting different areas of your body down or causing complications in different parts of your body. Now, my issue when I was younger, never referred to the vagus nerve, but it was that I was anemic, so there was not enough oxygen in my bloodstream. So basically what would happen is if I ran out of oxygen, so to speak, things would start to shut down. Now, I don't want to make it sound like I was going to die or anything like that. Sure, we all have those opportunities, but it would be like I'd be walking and all of a sudden I couldn't breathe, and I'd be like, what is this? And I was stubborn back then because I always thought that I knew better. And I can remember one time I tried to do a 5K, just a 5K, and I got like a half mile or a mile into the 5K, and I literally bent over and I couldn't breathe. And I went back to the doctor and I go, it was the weirdest thing. I couldn't breathe. And I got a lecture because basically she said I ran out of oxygen. But I just thought it was so funny that it's not funny, but if we start to understand that every part of our life can be better, but we have to kind of look at all the fundamentals and work on improving all of the fundamentals. You know, even thinking about this idea of food and movement and thoughts and sleep, I even think about like there's a lot of like medications that people take. And I will be the first to say I had surgery in order to lose half my body weight, and I'm still on this journey. I still have ways I want to go, but I'm realizing every day I want to get more closer to natural. And the reason is that I think that there are side effects of these things that we aren't familiar with that we keep putting in our bodies. Like one of my friends has an autistic child, and she controls it she's a nutritionist. She actually studied nutrition when she had him, and she is a nutritionist, and she controls a lot of symptoms for him, and he's doing amazing. But she controls a lot through food and metals in food and what's in certain foods that he eats. And I can remember that when I got bit by the dog last year, I had to go on antibiotics, and she was all upset about that because antibiotics kill all the flora in your stomach. Bad, good, everything. So you got to rebuild. So your ideal thing is that when you're going on pills, I was talking to somebody when I was in Orlando for one of the experiences for the money school crew, and I was talking to a family who had a senior family member, and they were working to try to eliminate medicines because what they were finding is that one medicine made them need a second medicine that made them need another medicine that needed another one. And it ended up into like this pattern of 13, 14, 15 medicines. And recently I've been hearing a lot about that. One of my neighbors has a dog that's on 15 medications. I know we love our animals, but we all have to identify a point in time where are we forcing them to live in pain so that we don't have to lose them? Or are we giving them a quality life by giving them the medication? Now, I can't, in my heart, 15 medications seems like too much for an animal. Actually, it seems like too much for an adult too, but again, there are going to be times when I'm not a doctor, so to speak to that, I can't. But it just made me realize that so much of what is going on in this world, we're each independently responsible. What do we want to do? What do we want to learn? And I will say I really, really, really love this class I took today because the idea of shadow work is what it was called. It seemed I didn't understand it, but then when I sat down, it's basically understanding your body. You almost can sense when things aren't feeling right by identifying something as simple as like when you're flying, you can identify certain parts of your body, recognize what is causing you the stress, work to release it through meditation, journaling, whatever it is that you need, and move yourself forward so that you can be healthy. I truly believe that I am where I am at right now because I knew when I went down this journey that I was going to have to change things. And I always know that I'm going to have to keep changing things every single day as I continue to move forward. I know that what I eat is going to change. I know the amount I'm eating is going to change. I know my movement is going to change. Everyone probably knows I reached out to one of my students and he gave me a bunch of pointers on running. So I'm excited about that. And I'll communicate with him on and off because that to me is kind of cool that the student becomes the teacher. He's also the one that is a helicopter pilot. So when I was up in the helicopter at the PNC launch, I actually sent pictures to him saying, you know, I was inspired to go ahead with this because I knew that you do this for a living. But we can complain and be angry and upset, or we can just decide that we can make our lives better. And so for me, I created a life better than I ever dreamed I could have by taking control of thoughts during that period of lockdown that was so controversial. But it allowed me a time to meditate, to relieve anxiety, and to realize that there was a different way to live life. And that means that I continue to search today for better ways to live life. What can I do to make the foods that I'm eating better? What can I do for better movement? What can I do for better thoughts? What can I supplement with to make better health? Are my sleep patterns good enough? What can I do to make my life better? And in making my life better, or making myself the best that I can be, then that allows me to be there for more people in my life. I would talk today to we've lost a couple of my cousins very young, and I talked to one of them's young daughter. She didn't have very many years with her dad, and I was talking to her today, and she wants to know the stories. And I'm grateful that I'm here and I have the health, and I've started jotting a list of the stories that I can share with her, because she just wants to know what it would have been like to have him here for a period of time longer. And I think it's building more experiences is a great reason to be here, and then to share what I've learned along the way is another great reason to be here. So that's my hope for all of you. Enjoy your time, enjoy your people, try to do something every day to make your body healthier and stronger so that you can reach out to more people. And I think that's a good immunity key. If you travel and you think that you get sick more than the average person, then maybe there's something you can do to improve it. And it is kind of the fundamentals. What kind of foods are you eating? Can you make adjustments, to more real food and get rid of processes? Do you need to add certain types of supplementation? Are you moving? Do you need to increase your movement? How are your thoughts? I think the sneaky one for many of us is our thoughts. We have to control what we're telling ourselves that we don't sometimes realize we're telling ourselves, and get proper sleep. I don't sleep tons and tons of hours because I absolutely love that early morning time, that morning routine of getting up and getting out there and taking some laps before anything is up except real natural animals, like whether it be a possum and I have actually seen a skunk in the morning. I don't try to tend to make friends with them, but they're there, I'm there. You just know you passed them. Or bunnies, there's a gazillion bunnies right now. So find the things that you can enjoy, and then really find something you can improve for yourself every day, and let's make the best of this life. I think there's so many amazing things, I think there's unlimited opportunities for all of us. I just think we have to open our minds, work to have the best health, control our thoughts to the best of our ability, and I think we could really see some big changes in this world. This looks scary, but if this vagus nerve here is communicating all throughout my body, I want to give it the tools that it can use to help me to be a better person. I want to thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you more than you'll ever know. I hope you have a beautiful, amazing evening. I'm being called by Mr. Acker over here, so I'll have to see what he's looking for, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much.